Hello and welcome to today's edition of the Pastor Study. I'm Ray Burlett and I'm so glad that you could stop by. We're taking a look at Proverbs chapter 10 and we're beginning to look at verse 12. And he talks here, he says that hatred stirs up strife. I can remember my father telling me that when he worked in the paint factory and was involved in making up large batches of 5,000 gallons or more of paint, sometimes there was an ingredient in there that you would think wouldn't belong. Like in white paint, there would be a certain amount of black powder that would go into that to create a unified color. Well, it gets in and it saturates everything. And he says, you bring a little bit of hatred into a situation and it stirs up strife. It creates problems. It creates difficulties. He says, but he says, but love, that covers everything. It gets rid of that hatred. It gets rid of the situation that causes a problem. And so rather than using hatred to stir up strife, we need to use love to cover it up and to make it hidden. He continues on and he says, coming out of the lips, off the lips of a wise individual, he said, you will see wisdom. He says, but, sometimes it takes a rod on the back of him who lacks understanding to bring an understanding. He's saying letting somebody who is foolish get away with things is not a wise thing. And sometimes it takes correction to bring wisdom, to bring understanding. Children need to be taught right and wrong. They're not going to know it on their own. And sometimes there's consequences. We have them standing in a corner. We have them disciplining them. We have them taking away toys. Whatever it is, we do these things so that they gain an understanding. He goes on and he talks about, a wise man storing up knowledge, but out of a mouth, blah, 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 comes stuff that's foolishness. But a wise man keeps it and hangs on to it. He says, the rich man's wealth is his fortress, but poverty is a ruin for the foolish individual. What a challenge for us to think about this. And he says, the path of life is for the individual who heeds instruction, who goes down that right way. But the one who ignores reproof, they go astray. Think about it. You have a map, you have directions, and if you don't follow them, you're going to get lost. Don't get lost. Follow the instructions of God's Word. Till next time in the Pastor Study, goodbye, and may God bless.